Sugar is a flexible and irreplaceable ingredient in food. In addition to its sweetness, sugar is also used to balance acidity, add bulk, or prevent spoilage, among other functional properties. Sugar is also necessary for many functions of the body. It was categorized as a spice in the 12th century and considered as a luxury. But did you know that sugar is also used to make bioplastics for planes, or even the production of biofuel and medicines such as antibiotics? Oh, greetings! Welcome to another edition of Bazaar. Now, sugar, nice and sweet, has often been scrutinized for its potential health risks, but in fact, it is a very handy ingredient used in many things around us. Join us as we explore the vast world of Iran's sugar production. We shall also uncover why sugar is a strategic commodity as we look at its related markets both nationally and internationally. Sounds good to me. Let's enter the sweet bazaar. Our journey took us to Firuz Kuh Sugar Factory in Tehran province. This factory has been producing sugar since 2014, but its parent company has been in the sugar business for half a century. The factory's facilities are spread across an area of roughly 12,000 square meters. Also, it can produce tens of tons of sugar on a daily basis. It offers customers granulated sugar, sugar cubes, as well as brown sugar. Many sugar factories have their own farmlands for cultivating crops in Iran. But this company purchases its raw material from sugar beet and sugar cane processing plants in the area. The semi-processed material is brought to the factory in containers. It comes in the form of sugary raw material that has been previously cleaned and crushed. This is then fed to processing machines, where it is refined into untreated sugary syrup.
در قسمت شرکت ما شکر خام توسط کامیون به قسمت انبار و سپس در قسمت حل‌کنی شکر حل میشه و به قسمت ساتوراسیون هدایت میشه. در قسمت ساتوراسیون شربت با باز CO2 و آهک تزریق میشن. این سه تا بعد مواد غیرقندی رو آهک تصفیه میکنه. موقعی که pH و فیلیکس و دما همه چیز مناسب بود به قسمت پرس هدایت میشه. تو قسمت پرس گل و مواد غیرقندی گرفته میشه. شربت به سمت یه مرحله قسمت دیگه تصفیه میشه. در قسمت صافی مکانیک هدایت میشه. در قسمت صافی مکانیک شربت دوباره املاح ریز گرفته میشه. در قسمت طباخی هدایت میشه. در قسمت طباخی شربتی که زلال و بدون املاح هست آماده پخت و پز میباشه.
Then the material moves down the processing line, where machines add certain food chemicals and impurities are removed. The separation of impurities is done with the help of mechanical filtration processes. The syrup is then sent to cooking machines and reduced. Now the liquid is ready to be fed to centrifugal machines, where it spins at high speeds. The result is sugar that is then refined into granules and ready for packaging.
در قسمت طباخی شربت در دمای بالا دمای 80-85 غلیظ میشه، به حالت فوق اشباع میرسه، حالت ناپایدار میرسه. در اون قسمت کارگرای ما آپارات‌های طباخی مایع میزنن و از شربت کریستال میگیرن. کریستال میگیرن، دونه میگیرن و سپس موقعی که آپارات آماده تخلیه شد، آپارات رو تخلیه میکنن و قسمت رفریژران یا سرد کننده هدایت میشه. در قسمت سرد کننده همزن کمک میکنه که کریستال‌های کمی یک نواح بشه و انتقال حرارت کمک به انتقال حرارت هم میشه. سپس توسط کارگر سرد کننده و دریچه به قسمت سانتریفوژ هدایت میشه. در قسمت سانتریفوژ پساب ضعیف و قوی جدا میشه و شکر سفید تخلیه میشه، در قسمت خشک‌کن خشک میشه و آماده بسته‌بندی و کیسه‌گیری میباشه.
The process of making sugar might seem simple these days, but producers in Iran have come a long way from traditional methods of sugar production. Mass production in this industry is heavily tied to machines and equipment. Nowadays, Iran manufactures some of these machines, but it also imports others in order to stay up to date with quality trends. Well-developed machinery is crucial for the sugar industry's competitiveness. Here, sugar is processed using the latest automated machinery. Also, highly trained staff manage the equipment at every stage to ensure that the job is done. The company employs over 80 staff. Many of them are experts in the field of food sciences. It also employs hundreds more indirectly.
این کارخانه حدود با 100 خورده پرسنل مشغول به فعالیت به صورت شبانه روزی و شکر سفید تولید میکنیم، شکر قهوه‌ای تولید میکنیم، قند کله و حالا در حال حاضر میخوایم شکر دارویی هم برای یه سری داروسازی‌ها تولید بشه.
This facility has a highly equipped quality control lab. Here, high-tech equipment such as the polarimeter is used to analyze the purity of sugar in all stages of production. The quality control lab is one of the beating hearts of the facility. The lab is where standards are implemented which guarantee high quality of the product.
آنالیزهایی که روی شکر انجام میشه، رنگ معلول، خاکستر، بعد کسیان، بعد انور و خاکسترش هست. این قسمت آنالیز حد و مجاز داره. اگه از حد مجازش بیشتر باشه، رنگ معلول، خاکستر و غیره، کسیان و غیره، از حد مجازش بیشتر باشه، این شکری که به قسمت آزمایشگاه IGI هدایت میشه و آنالیز میشه بالا باشه، شکر رو برگشت میدن و قابل قبول نیست، میگن دوباره تصفیه کنین این شکر رو، این شکر رنگش خوب نیست، تصفیه مجدد انجام میشه. الحمدلله شکر ما همیشه خوبه و کیفیتش هم بسیار بالاست.
This company works with the latest international standards to make medicinal sugar and brown sugar, which was previously imported. It is registered with the Ministry of Industry. Also, it has received permits from the National Bureau of Standards and the Food and Drug Administration of Iran.
بابت این تحریمایی که ایجاد شده، الان ما مشکلات واردات شکر خام داریم بابت مواد اولیه‌مون که اینا یه موقع با مشکلات السی داخلی و السی خارجی و اینا برای واردات مواد اولیه هست که ما داریم الان دولت داره وزارت بازرگانی داره شکر مواد اولیه‌مون رو تامین میکنه. منتها اگر این تحریما برداشته بشه و نباشه خیلی بهتر کارخونه میتونه با درآمد بیشتری کار کنه.
This place is one of nearly 50 sugar factories operating in Iran. Altogether, these factories can potentially produce up to 5.3 million tons of refined sugar each year. That's according to the Non-Metal Industries Affairs Bureau of the Ministry of Industries, Mining and Trade.
این تورم زیادی که ایجاد شده این مشکلات رو ایجاد کرده که نقدینگی خیلی کم باشه، برای همین تولید خیلی ضعیف شده. یعنی ما فقط در صرف همین مسئله کارمزدی میتونیم کار بکنیم. اگه سرمایه‌گذار خارجی باشه بتونه سرمایه بیاره، شکر رو وارد کنه و ما غیر از اینکه کارمزدی کار میکنیم بتونیم با یه سرمایه‌گذار خارجی کار بکنیم، میتونیم بحث صادرات شکر قهوه‌ای، شکر سفید به کشورهای همجوار داشته باشیم و رونق کارخونه خیلی بیشتر از اینا بشه.
Most of the sugar produced in Iran comes from sugar beets and sugar cane, but the sugar beet plays the biggest role in providing sugar inside the country. Most of the sugar made here comes from this root vegetable, and Iran has several regions where this funny-looking root is farmed. In fact, the beating hub of sugar beet farming is in West Azerbaijan province. Well, for someone who has a sweet tooth, I consider myself lucky to be living in Iran. Last year, Iran produced around 2.5 million tons of refined sugar. The majority of this sugar came from sugar beets in West Azerbaijan province. An estimated 2 million tons of sugar beet were produced on 34,000 hectares in this province last year. According to the West Azerbaijan Agricultural Organization, this amount made the province the biggest producer of the crop in Iran. Around 5 million tons of sugar beet are produced in Iran annually, and West Azerbaijan accounts for 38% of that total. Sugar cane is also cultivated in large amounts in Iran. But this sweet product requires certain climate and soil conditions which make it a demanding crop to grow. It is also a fairly water-intensive crop. Sugarcane is mainly cultivated in Khuzestan province, where it has flat areas with ideal temperatures. Somewhere around 7 million tons of sugarcane were produced last year in Iran. Nearly 800,000 tons of sugar can be produced from this amount. But this year, productions of sugarcane and sugar beet are much lower due to weather conditions of the year before. Iran meets a large portion of its sugar demands with domestic productions. However, it still imports a certain amount of sugar and raw material needed to make refined sugar. Sugar production is considered a strategic industry. That's because it is used to make other products which can be sold, bringing in more profit as opposed to selling just raw sugar. From making food products to leather tanning and textiles, cosmetics, and even soaps, it is used in nearly everything. But mainly, the sugar industry is driven by millions of people with a sweet tooth. Who can blame them? The confectionery and chocolate industry is one of the oldest food industries in Iran. We looked at some statistics from the Iranian Confectionery Manufacturing Companies Association. Figures showed that the country's annual export of sweets and chocolates is estimated to reach $600 million this year. Iran is capable of exporting $1.5 billion worth of sweets to regional countries. These goods are sent to market destinations in 66 countries. On top of that, government bodies plan to increase annual exports to $1 billion for this industry in the coming years. The per capita consumption of sugar among Iranians was around 28 kilograms per year in 2018. But sugar consumption in Iran is on the decline from its record-breaking 30 kilograms per capita in 1976. That's based on the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization statistics. With this in mind, the demand for sugary foods is still high, and the industry continues to meet these demands with domestic productions. Okay, all this sugary talk has in fact awoken my cravings, so I'm going to go off stage to eat something super sweet. In the meantime, my good friend and colleague will take over for another adventure on the field. The show's all yours.
This thread is made of petrochemical fibers. On the surface, it seems fine, but in practice, it lacks the required resilience for many different applications. So today we will witness the process that makes this thread capable of going through so much more. Spinning goes back a long way in this small Iranian village. It used to be a center for bizbafi or silk spinning, but that was long ago and prior to the large-scale destruction resulted by war. This is the story of survival of small businesses hanging by a thread. So where did the story of your factory start?
کار ما یک کار خانوادگی بوده. از زمان پدرم و پدر بزرگم که در ابتدا کار بافندگی انجام میدادن و به مرور زمان کار رو تغییر دادن و کار رو تبدیل به تابندگی کردن. ما انواع نخ‌ها رو تاب میدیم، عمدتاً نخ سرکیسه دوزی و نخ دوخت کیسه و محصولات متنوعی داریم. به جز نخ‌های دوخت، نخ‌های باند اسکناس هست برای بسته‌بندی، نخ‌هایی که برای صنایع دستی، کارهای دستی استفاده میشه و یک سری جدیداً کارمون رو تغییر دادیم، نخ‌های مکرومه بافی تولید میکنیم.
The greatest secret to the success of this business is perhaps its high adaptability to different situations. From spinning silk in times of peace to gun-strap threads in times of war, people here in Marand have managed to keep their business relevant to the situation at hand. One application for threads is clothing sacks, like those containing rice for instance, where highly resilient threads are needed. This thread is made of 8 thinner threads spun together to gain a lot more than their individual power. Backstitching threads are made using polyester and synthetic fibers. The most sought-after product of Mousavi thread production is its 8-ply backstitching thread. So can you tell us about the production process?
ابتدا ما نخ رو از شرکت‌های ریسندگی خریداری می‌کنیم. مواد اولیه میاد تو کارخونه ما و تو بخش تولید قرار میگیره. تو فرایند تولید ما چند رشته نخ رو کنار هم قرار میدیم و تبدیلش میکنیم به یک محصول دیگه. برای نخ سرکیسه دوزی معمولا 6 رشته یا 8 رشته نخ رو کنار هم قرار میدیم و تبدیلش میکنیم به نخ سرکیسه دوزی برای دوخت انواع کیسه. کیسه های برنج، خوراکدام، کود و حتی پتروشیمی ها مصرف کننده های عمدمون هستن.
The higher the number of plies used in a thread, the stronger and more resilient it will be. And this heavy-duty product is used not only in industrial applications, but also in the creation of fiber arts. Another popular application for these threads is in handicrafts, such as macrame weaving. The thickness required for these threads is achieved by a minimum of 60 threads spun together. Macrame is a type of textile created using knotting techniques. The origins of this art can be traced back to the 3rd century in the East, and centuries later, it was adopted and popularized by Western aristocrats. What's special about your products?
یکی از مزیت‌های محصولات ما این هستش که از بهترین و با کیفیت‌ترین مواد اولیه استفاده می‌کنیم و تونستیم قیمت تمام شدهمون رو خیلی پایین بیاریم و دلیلش این بوده که با اینکه دستگاه‌ها و ماشینالاتمون قدیمی بوده، تغییراتی که بهش دادیم تونستیم تولیدش رو افزایش بدیم و تونستیم با یه دستگاه چندین محصول رو تولید کنیم.
The innovative enhancement of a single machine can create the possibility of performing different functions using fewer facilities, which can in turn reduce the overall cost of the product.
Up to 1,000 kilos of thread is made right here on a given day. And once this package is ready to be shipped to customers inside Iran and the neighboring countries.
From silk threads to candle wick, from backstitching threads to the ones using a macrame, here production continues to bloom no matter what life may bring.
So tell us about the market for your products and your outlook for the future.
ظرفیت تولید ما روزانه 1000 کیلوگرم انواع نخهای تابیده است که این تولیداتمون رو علاوه بر اینکه مصرف داخل هست به خارج از کشور هم صادر میکنیم. به خصوص کشور عراق، آذربایجان، ارمنستان، ترکمنستان و جدیداً به کشور سوریه هم صادر داشتیم و قصد داریم میزان و تنوع تولیداتمون رو افزایش بدیم تا بتونیم به کشورهای بیشتری صادر داشته باشیم.
In this small factory, threads become resilient after they're spun together, much like their makers who have made it through thick and thin by sticking together, and after years of war and destruction have only become stronger.
Whoa, what an educational report. Many thanks. Now for our final portion of the program, let's take a sneak peek into some of the trends and news in Iran's agricultural and food industry. As you might know, farming requires a lot of natural resources for a good harvest. That's why Iran's Vice President Office for Science and Technology has planned several agri-tech development projects to help farmers. This sounds useful. 4 agri-tech projects worth $22 million will soon be implemented in the sector. This is aimed at increasing added value of agri-products as well. The Integrated Plant Nutrient Management Project is one that is already being studied by knowledge-based companies. This 5-year project incorporates soil nutrient, water, and crop practices that are customized to particular crops. The development projects will help promote sustainable farming practices. The goal is to bring more profit to the farming industry. Iranian biotech scientists have done it again. This time they have created a transgenic potato that's on its way to commercial release soon. The Agriculture Biotechnology Institute of Iran announced that the transgenic potato is waiting to obtain approval from relevant authorities. The Department of Genetic Engineering and Biosafety also said there are 26 other similar projects in the works. These include several crop types, such as rice and rapeseed. The vegetables are genetically engineered to be more nutritious. Also, they are modified to be disease and drought resistant. These plants will also require fewer environmental resources, such as water and fertilizer, or even pesticides. On to another development. Now, the Iranian government has launched over $300 million worth of agricultural projects across the country to help farmers and agri-food producers nationwide. The projects involve restoration and revival schemes for farms in 4 key agricultural provinces. Some of these projects include drainage systems in northern regions, which has helped revive some 600,000 hectares of land so far. Other farming and food projects would help fisheries and increase greenhouses. These projects will create nearly 16,000 permanent jobs. According to the Iran Chamber of Commerce of the Ministry of Industry, Mining and Trade, the goal is to diversify Iran's economy. Well, dear viewers, I'm afraid we have reached the end of this one, but do check us out next week at the same time for more. You can also get in touch with us with your views and ideas through our email or social media platforms. We would love to hear more from you. I've been Samson Sees you in the next bazaar.